If I could poll my audience, I think probably a majority of them are very much aware now of the importance of unionization. Maybe they're taking steps, maybe they are following the lead of somebody else, but it's improving a lot.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Mike, I'm interested in, what your audience might, do you feel like the kind of progressive YouTube audience, people who listen to progressive folks on YouTube, how strong do you feel like their knowledge is about, the opportunities that unions have for them in, their workplaces right now that are not unions, or, for the younger people, the YouTube audience skews really young. How aware do you think they are of the opportunities that they have to go work for UPS and make $49 an hour in 2028 as a UPS driver without a college degree, or go into the trades and stuff like that, and a trade union, or organize their workplace? How do you feel like in that space the knowledge is of those options and opportunities?
It's hard to say because the audience is a mishmash of, different types of people. There's a lot of older union people who are in unions currently who often tell me about negotiations and stuff like that. But then there's also a lot of college students who aren't necessarily employed, or they're in they're in temporary employment, with a fast food job, for example. I think that the knowledge of unions was really poor. And it's grown, I think, in large part due to the surge in labor activism, at least since 2021. Because I think that it lets them see there's a sort of blueprint, right? Where if you can see Starbucks workers, for example, form a union, that really communicates to you that, okay, so it doesn't matter how small the store is or where I'm working, I can do this too. Right. I'm not sure how much that translates into real world, actual organizing, but I think that the visibility itself is starting to change, and it's making a difference. So I think that the audience is, I think they're much more knowledgeable now than they were, say, 5 years ago. And it's just because we're seeing this domino effect, right? Where, one Starbucks falls, and then a year later you have so many more. I forgot the number, over 100 or something, might be more than that. And I think that's giving a lot of people the courage to do the same themselves. So, it's hard to say, but if I could poll my audience, I think that probably a majority of them are very much aware now of, the importance of unionization, and maybe they're taking steps, maybe they are following the lead of somebody else. But, I think it's improving a lot.
That's great to hear.
Could I jump in on that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo that, I mean, something I think refreshing and hopeful about this moment is among so many younger people, I mean, it's not even controversial anymore. I mean, it's very, I think the younger generation is just much more instinctively pro-union. And I do think there is a gap between the actual understanding of what unions are and how to do it. And there's a lot of barriers to organizing no matter what your age. But, just as an anecdote, I mean, the last Labor Notes conference in 2022, which was their largest one ever. I mean, and I've been going to Labor Notes conferences since 2010, and the crowd was just so much younger. And within groups like DSA, I mean, the labor work is becoming a priority for many people. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of hope there that this next generation is really looking to labor. And I make this argument a lot that it's not just a good political choice, but actually for a personal financial choice. This might be the way to go. I mean, I remember when I was a teacher, I was in a union, but teachers in Philly are not paid very well. And I used to look at, when I learned how much the public transit workers make without needing a college degree, I'm like, God damn, what did I do with my life? So I mean, the prospect of getting a good union job without maybe needing to go into debt is also a good personal decision, as well as being a good political decision.
Yeah, it's really empowering too, because for me, I had my political awakening, I would say. There were two political awakenings. It was 2008 during Obama's campaign. That was the first time I was old enough to vote. And then I was disappointed and then there was Bernie Sanders, and then he lost, and then I was disappointed. That was my second political reawakening. And I think that a lot of us, we kind of put our hopes and dreams into a candidate, and now that mindset has shifted after being devastated twice. It's like, oh my God, how do we affect change? Because we lost twice. We saw the reaction to it. Like, what do we do to affect change? And then seeing actually you don't have to rely on a politician. Real change comes from the bottom up and not the top down. I think that is what's so important about this, because it's not just like waiting for a politician that you'd vote for to get elected to introduce a $15 an hour minimum wage. It's you taking this into your own hands. It's you taking back power. And I think that's why it's so important, because like there's a lot of doomerism. And I'm still doomer pilled, obviously, because look at the status. But this is the one situation where you can actually see actual change happening at a very rapid rate, like comparatively speaking. And that's so nice to see, because, we're looking at this political system that has stagnated. It's unable to produce change as rapidly as it needs to be. But then you see the labor movement, and there's wins left and right. Certainly there's losses, of course, but like to see these high profile wins, Amazon, the first labor union started by Chris Smalls, Starbucks. I think that that says something. It makes people feel like, oh, I'm not actually powerless. Like, yes, the system is still overwhelmingly against me. Capitalism is killing us all, but there are things that I can do. And it's such a great rallying point, because as divided as we are as a country, we all have the same experience. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. You could be in fast food, retail, nursing, that you are taken advantage of by these corporations, right? You're getting exploited. You have no leverage. But if you all realize that you have this common cause, then that does something to you, I think, psychologically. So that mental shift has been really encouraging to see, and important, because realizing, yes, it's bottom up, not top down. That's so crucial for people.
Yeah, that is almost exactly kind of what led me to spending my time in the labor movement as opposed to electoral politics. I was politicized Bernie 2016, like a lot of people, and so that I think saying that Bernie is a sheepdog for the Democratic Party, I think is a bit I think that's a bit too I can't think of the word, but it doesn't feel like it's exactly correct, but that's kind of what happened to me. I was like, oh, I voted for Bernie. I guess that means I should do activism in the Democratic Party. And so that's what I did. And it felt very disempowering, to go knock on a stranger's door who I had never met, were never going to see again, and ask them to vote in 6 months or, in 4 weeks or whatever, or 1 week for this other person that neither of us had ever met, and hope against all odds that somehow a Democrat is going to win in Alabama. And then if they win, hope that if they win, they don't screw you over like every single other elected official has in your entire life. It's just, I did not like it. I didn't like it. And so after 2018, I was like, this not really for me. And so exactly like you said, I found the labor movement much more empowering, and because it's just so much more easy to talk to people and say, hey, I know you, you know me, you should trust me, and I trust you, and our lives deserve to be better, and here's how we do that, by trusting each other and not some random guy. It's so much more empowering. And then, if people are successful enough, the politics follow that, right? Politicians, whether they're Republican or Democrat, a lot of times they're going to be much more incentivized to follow after a strong labor movement and, kind of do what we say. So Mike Figueredo, I know that we're a little over when you were going to, when you needed to run. So really appreciate your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say before we let you go?
No, thank you so much for having me. Nice to meet you and Paul. I really hope that people donate. I think this is so cool. I shared the links, put it on blast on social media. So everyone, please consider chipping in $1 or $2, because this is how you actually take back power.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.